overly seasoned insurance agents have come together to try to teach you some tips and tricks of how to protect your family and business. Yes, we're going to talk about insurance. We don't want to, but we'll have to. And we're going to talk about some other things. But also, you need to remember that we're going to be giving you some general ideas of how to protect your family and business. You're going to need to get with your own licensed professional, your own insurance agent, your own attorney to seek advice for what your family or business needs. But hopefully, you're going to get some bullets and some ideas from our geniuses here today to how you can meet with your agent and you can have some better discussions. You might be a little bit more knowledgeable and you can maybe do a better job of helping take care of your business. I'm Jeff Shropshire. There's my buddy over there, Brent Borgstedte. Brent, how you doing today?
Very, very good. Good to see you.
It is good to be here. It was close. I was driving in from Midland, which we like to call the Death Road. If you're not familiar with West Texas area with all the trucking and everything that goes on around the Midland Odessa area, which I'm up in Lubbock, it is always a miracle that you get down and back without either a near miss or a stain in your shorts. That's kind of how we always do. And I had the stain in my shorts, so I felt like I did pretty good. My wife was gripping the drunk rails in the truck. It was a beautiful day, but yeah. and then you know what she did? And then she decided that halfway through, after all my cursing, we needed to listen to a podcast. It was the 8 things she put on, the 8 things you need to do every morning to reduce your stress. And I'm like, damn it, I don't have time to talk about that. I'm on the road for that. And this is the wrong road to be on.
Yeah. Let's listen to that when we get home.
Yeah, delete. But anyway, it's good to be here today. We're going to talk today about property insurance, especially kind of more for commercial. God dang, what is going on, Brent, with the property insurance? What is the problem here? You're in Houston. I'm in Lubbock. That we've got Texas surrounded, and it's the shits for both of us. And I just don't understand this. I mean, I understand it, but I think I'm having problems with it. What are you seeing, my friend? What do you think the answers are here?
You know, for the rest of the state and you guys, and even some of the agents in our group that are in Kansas and areas like that have historically not had any property issues, you guys are coming around to something we've been dealing with here in Houston really for about 20 years. I mean, really sort of my whole career, we've had property problems because we're in what they consider a cat area because of hurricanes. And I get it. We are exposed to that peril, and it's a problem. But I think it's a bigger issue now because the losses have not been exclusive to cat areas. The losses have been widespread and global, and carriers and reinsurers have been getting punished pretty good for the last 10 years. And so have, they're going to say, adjusted their rates to reflect the losses that they've been experiencing.
Yeah. We're going to adjust the rates. That's what the rate was right there.
That's the nice word for,
yeah.
Well, anyway, so it's been a problem for a long time, and property insurance in general, like I said, globally, really, not just in America, not just in Texas for sure, has been really, really tough. And for the in the limited defense of the carriers, their loss ratios have been bad for a long period of time. In fact, I did a study for a little talk I gave at my Rotary Club about homeowners rates in Texas, and I took this data from Texas Department of Insurance. I didn't get it from the carriers or anything like that, but basically the loss ratio, and this is for Harris County only, the loss ratio in Harris County for homeowners insurance over a 25-year period was 101%, which means, for every dollar they took in, they paid out $1.01 over the last 25 years. So you can see why they, A, don't want to be here, and B, if they are going to be here, they're going to charge a lot. And it's an ongoing problem. And you guys have had a lot of hail in Lubbock. They've had a lot of hail in Central Texas, where we've not historically had it. San Antonio's gotten pounded. They've gotten hail in the valley.
Yeah,
They've gotten hail
what have
everywhere.
they done wrong in San Antonio?
I don't know.
I mean, for people out there, from an agent standpoint, you may not care about this, but there's parts of Texas that are like the holy grail that it's just nothing can go wrong for an insurance company. They
Yeah.
can make money, they can be competitive, and like San Antonio and typically Austin, those areas like that have been pretty much have seen the best rates, best weather, and then all of a sudden, they have a hailstorm or two, and they're
But they've been having
welcome
a
to the
hailstorm
planet
or two every
every
year for
year.
about
I
the last
know.
5 years. Our good friend Michael Sachs in San Antonio told me, back in the day, 10 or 15 years ago, when they would go to renew a commercial account, the property was almost free. Like the
Yeah,
carrier
it's
would just
crazy.
nearly throw it in, like, "Oh, yeah, you've got $10 million of building. We'll charge you $10 million worth of property on this account. We'll give that to you for $1. We're just interested in writing the work comp and the general liability."
It's
And so the
crazy, isn't it?
property, it was an afterthought. I mean, they didn't even never entered their mind. And of course, for us down here, the property is always the first thing we have to talk to the carrier about is, will you consider writing the property if we give you the work comp and the GL and all these other lines of coverage? Will
Blood,
you at least think
stool
about it?
samples. Yeah, you got to
Yeah,
get. Yeah,
I
what is it
mean,
going to take?
what's it gonna take? And, so, like I said, it's been kind of not we're not laughing at the rest of you guys, but it's been kind of humorous for us to watch this come to the rest of the state and the rest of the country, the things that we've been
Well,
dealing with for years.
I feel like you are
And
laughing at us because your
well, yeah,
email
we
to me
are.
was, as I was bitching about it, your email to me was "Welcome to the party," and I took that as the big bone in the air. I appreciated
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
nothing
are.
like
It's kind
going to
of
your
funny.
partner and going, "Hey, I need a little bit of," and he's like, "Well,
Sorry.
we've all been bending over all week."
Yeah.
So we have a problem though, okay? Because we have consumers out there. They've got buildings. They have stuff, and if you look over, we'll talk about homeowners on another podcast, but it's the same sort of philosophy. But we got folks who have buildings, big structures. We have investment. We have people who have loans on those buildings that are requiring them to have insurance. So today we've got to try to give those business owners who are sitting there looking at this mess and looking at these premiums and these decisions, what are some things that they should think about and they should know about before they go sit down with their agent or even their team or their financial team to figure out what we're going to do? What are we going to tell these people to deal with? Yeah, they don't really care about the why. They just
Right.
have to deal with the what do I do? And so what are some things we should tell them
You know,
that
we
they
we
should be hearing from their agent?
we talk about this all the time here at the office with our account managers. When we go out to see a client, we don't want to spend a lot of time, as I say, crying and defending the industry and about, because people are frankly tired. They feel like they're getting raped on these rates, and I get that. And in a lot of cases too, we've got a lot of clients that have had to drop their property insurance. Not that they didn't want to, they simply can't operate the business at a profit and pay the kind of rates they're paying in property. So they've had to go naked, whether they wanted to or not. And these are only the businesses that are fortunate to have paid off all of their loans and own their buildings outright. They have the choice to go naked. I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, I'm kind of a fan of it, but I think there's cases where you've got to think it over, because going naked is really, it's not as simple as just saying I'm not going to, or I can't pay that premium. You really got to think that through.
Yeah,
And there are some things you can do. Obviously, deductibles is the first thing. There's different ways to style the coverage. You can write ACV, which is actual cash value. You can exclude the roof. You can go to drop your business interruption coverage, which is coverage for loss of revenues if your building's damaged. There's a lot of different ways to modify your policy to lower the premium. And then I have to tell you, a lot of times we've exhausted all of those with some of our clients, and it's still too expensive. I get that, and I mean, I appreciate the situation. I've certainly been in a lot of unhappy client meetings where people are just pulling their hair out and very angry and
yeah,
upset. I get it. And again, like you said earlier, it's one of those times where you need to have a sit down with your agent in person. In my opinion, this is not a over the phone thing. This
No,
is, let's sit down, let's spread it out on the desk and look at the coverage that you have and the buildings and property and contents and machinery that you've got to insure, and let's figure out a pathway that we can make it work. And you've got to do that. It takes a while.
you
You
know
got
the
to have a
thing.
good guy too. You got to have a good guy or lady that is willing to sit down and work with you.
That's right. That's right. You know, that's the thing in our profession is there's kind of two kinds of agents. There's the really the salesy kind of agent, and then there's more of the risk manager. This is something you need, even if your guy or gal is a little salesy, make sure they have some in their office or an account manager, somebody who's a little bit more risk managing, because you know, you guys have been in this situation for like 20 years down there, as you ridiculed me about. But the thing with it is, up here we're new. You know, the thing is, up here in Lubbock, probably the Dallas Fort Worth area. Boy, we talked about the San Antonio folks. You know, this is all new, and the thing that we're seeing from for consumers, if I'm a business owner out there, I'd be sitting there going, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because the rules have been this property insurance, for instance, has been property insurance, the same thing for years and years. So when we bring you a property quote, you're like, "Oh, I know what this is. Okay, I get it. No problem. Just move on." Well, we need to talk about, let's move on. Man, things have changed, folks. If you're in a Lubbock area, you're in a Dallas area, you're in even going on down to that God's country down there with San Antonio or Austin, your property policy today is not the same. And
No.
what you knew, no offense, you don't know now, because even the agents, we're learning every renewal, it's changing for us. So that policy that you have is not going to be the exact same policy you had, regardless. Something's going to change. And you as a consumer have got to be on top of that, because there's a way. Brent talked about dropping a lot of coverages, which is an option, but you've got to know what you're dropping, because you can go through. I love the idea of being in person, but man, you can sit there and people just go whittle that, and you know, most agents out there, or their job is to try to make sure they're on the same page with you to cover you properly.
Right.
That's their goal. And if you don't have somebody you feel like who's doing that, then you need to look around and find somebody else. But their goal is to make sure that when you call in that storm or the water pipe or the hailstorm, that policy is going to work the way for you that you want it. But you as a consumer now, you're going to have to know more. So if somebody
Yeah.
says, we're going to just drop business income insurance, for instance, well, that could be a big deal, because business income is insuring your income if your building's not up, if it's not operating. Do you have the money? Do you have the money to put on a roof? Do you have the money to maybe put on two roofs? You know, I always worry about this. I'm not worried about the one loss. I'm worried about
Stack.
the second one.
Yeah.
But I just feel for the customer, and actually it pisses me off too. And really, most good agents, you know, they're pissed off about this too, because they want to be able to take care of the consumer. And there's nothing more frustrating than you can't provide something that a customer can afford. I don't know how you feel about that, but it bugs me to no end after 30 years of that.
Let me tell you, that's been one of my biggest frustrations in the last couple of years is that, and I tell this to my account manager, my commercial lines manager a lot. We talk about the fact that we have a
But this is the
lot
one
of,
that just told you need to be on medication.
yeah, that's the same one. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think her insight sometimes is good.
She's smart. I met her,
Yeah,
folks.
she's
She's
smart.
very smart, and
Yeah.
she's right. We probably all need to be.
Yeah.
I may need to see if I can get a prescription from her after it's done too. That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. So, but our frustration is that we've got a lot of experience. I mean, I've been doing it for 39 years. I know a lot about it, but the thing that's just driving me insane is that I can't provide the kind of protection and the kind of dialed in coverage that I would like to provide for a client because I don't have it. I don't have it's not available. Carriers either don't want to write it or they won't write it or they won't write a building without excluding the roof or without a 10% wind deductible or things that are just insane. I mean, we've had to have some of the craziest conversations. In fact, that same commercial lines manager I was telling you about last year. I was out with a client, and he was upset because the property insurance has gone from like literally 25 or $30,000 a year to like 150 plus.
Oh, it's just crazy.
And all through that escalation to 150,000, it's the coverage has been massively reduced.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about it and just kind of reasoning through it. And he was like, "Well, I've got a 5% wind deductible and my building's ACV." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Mike," I said, I just honestly, I'm having trouble dreaming up a scenario where you would have a loss that you're actually going to get anything back under this
Yeah,
policy."
and add
And
the amount of the premium they're paying. So you get your
that's what
premium, your deductible, and all that, and you're like, uh, what am I paying
well,
for? What do I get?
I actually told him, and I said, "Mike," I said, honestly don't know if it were me, if I would buy it." And of course, my account manager is sitting at the other end of the table and she's looking at me like, "What did you just say?" And I was like, "I can in good conscience not say this out loud, but I mean, I'd have to think about not buying this coverage because in 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 consideration of the deductibles and the fact the building's ACV and all these different things, I don't really see it." And, we had to kind of both talk ourselves back into buying it because he was like, "Well, I do have 10." He had $10 million worth of buildings, and so,
Yeah,
we
that's a
were
lot.
kind
I
of
mean,
thinking, and this guy's close to the water. He's down off, southeast Houston and has a
yeah,
big,
I mean,
and so
it could happen.
it could
This is
happen. The building could be
this is
destroyed.
not a reach, right?
And he has a lot of expensive equipment in there and kind of like, so we had to really think it through and talk it through. And we decided that, yeah, it still made sense to buy it, but we did trim a few things back and, but it's frustrating because like I said, I'm not able to provide the kind of good dialed in blanket of protection that I want to provide for people. And that's been very frustrating. And it's just drives you crazy because it's not what you want to do at all. You want a good
No,
price for a good product, and I feel like sometimes we have the opposite. We have a bad price and a bad product, and it's all I have to sell, and it's very annoying,
it
very
is,
frustrating.
and I think the thing that when I'm listening, you talk about that. If I'm a business owner, which we are, and or if I'm a consumer listening to this, I think that when you took us through that little step there, the thing that I learned the most is you have got to sit down with your core people, including your agent, and have those hard discussions. Trust us, folks. Just deciding to go bare or dropping coverage or going to ACV, it sounds fine in 5 minutes because you say, I saved this much, I did it. But you got to walk through this because your business uh, insurance is not the answer to everything, but if you're going to make that change, it's a bigger change than what it seems like on paper. You know what I'm saying? Because once that
Absolutely.
finger of God is sitting over your city or whatever, you start going, do we have, do I have that much cash reserves to put this thing back? Can we operate if we're shut down for a year? Can we go with that? Well, our income withstand? You got to have somebody in there with you, not trying to sell you a policy, but trying to help you keep your business going.
All right.
That's
Thinking
really what
through
our
these
job
black
is.
swan events.
That's right. That's our job. And it's crazy. It's strange discussions you got to have, but these are the days you got to have it. And I don't think you're going to see it change much. I mean, we'll have a period of time where it'll soften some here and there, but I don't know. I feel like we're kind of hitting a new norm at some point, and it's going to be different than where we were 5 years ago. That's
Absolutely.
what I'm thinking.
I think so. I think we're not going back to where we were before. Uh, I do think there's a bit of uh, easing coming. That's all. That's kind of. We'll talk about that later in the subject. But we call what going naked and stuff like that. We actually, and we didn't invent this term, but we call it post-event financing.
Yeah,
Whenever a client wants to go without coverage, we said, okay, let's talk about post-event financing because that's what you're saying is that I'm going to drop my property insurance and then I'll go out and get a bank loan to rebuild my building, which is it's a strategy. I'm not saying it's a bad one either. Frankly, if your business is well capitalized and you've got a good line of credit, you do to make sure you have those things, though, you do need to talk to your banker and say, by the way, could I borrow $10 million or $5 million or $2 million,
Right.
whatever I'm going to need? You need to make sure you can. Make sure those things are in place. You don't want to be chasing that down after a disaster. You want to be ready to do it. If you're not going to have property insurance, make sure these other facilities are in place. And then realize too that once you take out that bank loan and rebuild your building, then guess what? Your banker is going to require that you have insurance on it. So you're going to have that property insurance post event.
And they're going to get you
So,
back in the game, right?
right. So you have to start doing the math on, is it really cheaper to go naked considering the cost of the financing? In other words, how much does that $5 million loan amortize out to per month, and the property insurance that I'm going to have to buy? So you need to do the math. And I'm not trying to twist anybody's arm to buy the coverage. I'm just saying, do the math. What's the post-event financing cost versus buying the policy now? Because sometimes it's not what you think. It can
Yeah.
be more expensive. Anyway, it's something, like I said, you need to sit down and have a long conversation with your agent and strategize. Maybe get your banker
Yeah,
involved
get your
and talk
banker
about,
involved.
what are we going to do? Let's pretend like our building's blown down and we're sitting in a hotel room having this meeting
Yeah.
because our building's gone. And what do we do now? And so you just want to walk through that as if it's already happened and make sure you're ready for that and you've
Well,
considered
yeah.
all the avenues.
And you got to get
And
your
you
accountant involved too, because there's tax
right.
considerations. I
There's
mean,
tax considerations,
it
and
can
like
get bigger and bigger than just sitting down with a couple of people.
and you said the other operative things is, what do we do when our building blows down, our revenue stream stops? Even though maybe, I could go rent another building and I can be back up in business 3 months. How
Yeah,
long is it gonna take?
yeah. Well, your
We've seen
customers wait 3 months for you. You know, this is the thing too. The way that Amazon and everything else is will your customers wait for 3 months? I mean, they love you. You're nice people, but will they wait 3 months, or do they just go, we have to go down to Billy Bob's now? And just
we
because Billy Bob wasn't blown away, the storm missed Billy Bob,
well, that's what we've seen
Yeah.
a lot down here after hurricanes, is that a lot of businesses that don't have business interruption, and sometimes you can't buy it, by the way,
Yeah, it's not always offered.
depending on where you are, it's not always available. But we've seen a lot of businesses fail, not because their property got damaged. You can fix your building, but their revenue stream dried up for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months while they were trying to get rolling again, and
It's
their
just sad.
customers were gone. Even though
Yeah,
they got their facility back and they got their machines back and they got their people back to work, their customers have moved on. And
yeah.
so it's really, you've got to think through these post-event strategies, and that's really the most important thing in property insurance is post-event strategizing, because after these hurricanes have blown through, there's just so many unexpected scenarios that you didn't think of that
No,
make
it's
getting your
hard.
business back going challenging.
I think maybe here in the last 5 minutes or so if somebody's sitting here thinking about, how can I lower my insurance? I'm staying in property, or I'm thinking about getting out. All those things. Now, there's a few things we're hearing from all the carriers that, because they're going to offer, sometimes if they will offer policies, they're going to offer different levels of coverage depending on how great your structures are. So there's some things you can do whether you have insurance or not. But if you want to make yourself the most competitive person, you want to get the best deal you can get. I know one of the things that our carriers are talking to us all about is updates. I think in the history of commercial insurance, these policies, the carriers have done this. They gave us policies that started looking like maintenance policies, and it's never meant to be a maintenance policy. But the idea now is the carriers want to provide the best coverage and the best entities for the best managed properties.
Right.
That's highly important. One of them that they always ask us for is, how old is that roof? They want to know how old is the roof and what sort of material is that roof. And
What
they want
condition is it in?
that's a big deal, what condition it's in. That's one area. So if you're sitting there and you're 30, 40 years, you haven't had a roof put on because you haven't had a storm, it's not wait till the storm. If you like insurance, you want to use this as your way of transferring it, you need to get a roofer up there and have them
Yeah.
look. You may have to pay for a roof now. Pay
Or at
for a
least
roof
get it
now.
updated, get it
Get it updated.
maintained.
Yeah, I don't know. What's another area that they're looking at for
Just
you?
I would say just make sure your property looks as good as possible. Get all the trash cleaned up around it, get some landscaping done. Make it look great. Look as good as you can make it look, because
Yeah,
that inspector's gonna roll out there. These guys, unfortunately, their first impression is gonna be, "Oh, man, this place, they've got a junk car over on the side, and they've got a bunch of trash out behind the building." That's what they're gonna write in their report is building is in
yeah.
disrepair,
Disrepair. Man,
and
that's not a good
so
thing.
clean that thing up, paint it, get it looking good, get your roof updated or replaced
No, hide all
so
the
that
evidence.
yeah, make it look good,
I
clean
know.
up on the inside. Make sure that all your if you've got a shop with if y'all do welding in there, you got gas bottles, get them chained to the wall, get them cleaned up, get all the junk up off the ground
No.
so that when the inspector comes out, it looks good. Another place that I like to tell people is, and my son, who's a risk manager, pointed this out to me. There's an insurance company called FM Global, and they have a lot of great assets on their website about property, how to make sure it's in the best possible shape, construction types and things like that. Go to their website and look through it. There's some great stuff on there.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, get that property shaped up.
Get it up.
S-
Get a plumber, get an electrician, get them to come out, get them to go through and look through the facilities, look on the toilets, look under the sinks, look at your electrical panel, have them come out, do some inspections, get some plumbing updated. If the
and-
electrical needs to be, and do that if you're not going to have insurance, because
right?
guess what? You don't want to have a water pipe break and you don't want to have electrical fire, whether you insure the building or not. But we have to manage our properties
Yeah.
better in general than what was expected 5 years ago, especially in these newer areas where we are. That wasn't as much of a concern. Now it's everything.
You hit the nail on the head earlier that people used to use their insurance policy for maintenance. Like they would wait for a disaster to come and blow the roof off or whatever to get a new one. Can't do that anymore.
No,
You've got to maintain your property at a top level. I mean, you've really got to keep it shaped up, or you're not going to be able to get coverage, or you're not going to be able to afford it. It's going to be very expensive. These carriers are using aerial imaging and AI to evaluate risk. And if your building does not look good, it is going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to
no.
insure.
It's like the colonoscopy of property insurance.
That's
They
exactly what it's
they
like.
will get up there deep
They
and
are
they will find
looking.
it, folks. They will look it, they'll sniff it out, they'll test it. There's no games to play anymore in
Nope.
property. And also, the only thing else I'd add real quick is if you think you have an amazing deal or an offer in front of you that's really different than everything else anybody else has presented to you, you need to pay attention.
You need to
There's
open the back pages and
You
look at
need
the
to open the back
deductibles
pages. You
and
need to have deductibles. You need to have them reviewed either by another professional. Get a second opinion because right now, folks, there's not a lot of deals out there. Typically, the lower the deals, the less the coverage. This is new to a lot of us out there as consumers that things have changed so much. Not saying anybody's trying to do anything deviant, but you're going to have to take ownership now. Pay attention because you don't want to buy something that's worthless and just nothing's
well,
worse than that.
or as I like to say, a quote that won't stand up to inspection. We've had a lot of clients get a really competitive quote, and then it gets bound, and the other agent didn't mention the fact that, oh, by the way, the carrier is going to inspect it, and the carrier goes out and goes, "Oh, the roof's terrible, and
Yeah,
uh, we didn't realize this was joisted masonry or joisted construction, not masonry. We don't want to write it." They'll get off of it, or they'll raise the rates
that's
tremendously, and
right.
so the deal you had evaporates, and then you've given up the other policy that you had, which you may not be able to get back now, by the way. It's a terrible situation. So
Well,
you got to be careful. You
you got to
really
be
got to be
careful.
careful.
Got to be careful. And hopefully after today's podcast, you've learned a little bit about awareness. We want you to be aware of what you're doing. Don't make quick decisions. when it comes to either amending your policy or dropping coverage, that may be the thing to do. You got to get some other heads involved with it. You need to get your structures updated. You need to keep them maintained. It's a good business anyway, whether you maintain insurance or not. And by all means, just pay attention and make sure you have somebody working with you who knows what they're doing and cares to take the time. There's a lot of great people out there. If you don't have one, find one. There's a lot of great agents in our state of Texas. But these are things that I think that business owners, if you do these things, you can help make the best decision for your business.
And if you get another quote, don't be afraid to show. I'm never afraid for a client to say, "I've got a better offer. Let me see it." I'm glad to look at it. And if it's a
Yeah.
good deal, I'll tell you, "Hey, that's a good deal." I don't see it very often, but occasionally we have somebody come in and go, "Yeah, that looks pretty
Yeah.
good. I think I would take it." And clients are always surprised when we say it, but I mean, we honestly are looking out for the best interest of our clients. Most of our clients, we've had them 20, 30, 40
Right.
years. I'm not trying to sell you something anymore. We're your advocate, and we're trying
That's
to
right.
help you. And so always keep that channel of conversation open, and communication's key. Uh, and let's talk about it. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of talking about it, I think we're
Yes.
about out of time.
We are about out of time.
We gotta talk about college football because
It's a big
this is
weekend
a
for Texas Tech.
huge weekend for Texas Tech. Huge. Maybe the biggest game we've had in 10 or 15 years
I'm
against
ready.
Utah. And man, we have got to win this game. We've got to
What is it, like
win
at
this
10:30
game.
in the morning? What time is
It's
this
like
game?
at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
Who plays a college football game at 10 o'clock in the morning? I think it's
Utah's.
because it's this Fox big noon kickoff they're
I
having. I
know,
think that's their
and they
equivalent
get,
to.
and they're trying to do that with, I guess, versus game day or something
Yes, I
like
think they're
that.
trying to do a college game day knockoff over there, and so they're up there in Utah for this game. And man, this is big. We've
I
got to
feel good
win this
about it.
game.
I do feel good about it. I don't know.
I do too. I feel good. I think they're favored by 4,
I
maybe.
can't get so we've had 3 home games. Yeah. Missed 1, 2 rain. I sat out in the rain for an hour and a half last week. And the guy next to me, we sat out. I got, you think you want to go under? And I go, I haven't seen lightning. No, I don't want to go under. I don't want to go under the stands with like 300,000 people under there that are humid. I'm taking so we stood out there, and I mean, we sat out in rain for like an hour and a half. Then they did the second delay, and then I just said, I can't. I had water in every orifice of my body. I haven't done that in forever. And I sat out there, and it was so much fun. But man, it sounds like now they're gonna have, like, the weather's gonna be good, right? It's gonna be early. It's gonna be early,
man. You better get up, get your coffee going.
Why did we not go? I don't know if I could get up and go to a game.
We should have gone.
That's what we need
How
to
do
do.
you get to Utah? Can you fly up there?
I think there's a bus. What's funny about it, here in Lubbock, I saw where Southwest is going to have start in October, a direct flight to Salt Lake City. And I'm
really?
Like, from Lubbock.
Oh, we could have flown up there. Maybe next year. No,
Yeah,
actually, they'll be here next year.
Well, we'd appreciate an invite from somebody up there. We'd like to come up and
yeah.
We need to do our risk management tailgating. So we need people to let us know where they're going to be and let us know where we need to go. So we're going to get you up here to Lubbock this season.
What's the next home game? I don't even know who it is.
I don't know. I'll send it to you. I've got a seat with your name on it. It's just waiting for you.
I'm coming.
But we got to get that done. So
I'm definitely coming up this year. Now, I know we're coming up too, where Tech's going to be here in Houston playing the Cougars.
Okay. When you and I'll talk about that, there might be an option for me there.
Okay.
Because I'd like to see how we could pull that off. But
it's super fun. It's a neat stadium. It's a neat place to see a football game. Can be a little hot. You might be surprised to learn that.
I had
humid.
no idea.
You don't know about humidity.
No, I've got my what do I use for that? I've got that Corona powder that you just
there's no gimmick for the heat and humidity here.
I'll look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on there. There's no combating
hot.
It's thunderstorm in the britches. Well, listen, Red Raiders, wreck them, get it going. We hope to see some good things. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode of Risk Raiders. We appreciate you tuning in, and we hope to see you on our next episode.
All right, everyone take care and have a safe and risk-free weekend.
So long.
Bye-bye.